Can you reach the Galactic Center on Permadeath without using your laser or your weapon? Anomaly John 173 here, and I'm back with a new No Man's Sky challenge. I've been busy with multiple channels and things kind of slowed down recently with No Man's Sky, but I jumped back in to test out a new challenge idea and I wanted to share it with you. I call it the Permadeath Pacifist Challenge. Can you start a new permadeath save, make it all the way to the Galactic Center, and jump to Hilbert and never use your laser or weapon at all? No mining, no shooting or killing anything with your multi-tool weapons or your ship weapons. You can use your terrain manipulator, you can use your hands, you can upgrade your scanner and exosuit and ship as you desire, but no mining and no killing. Think I can do it? Get all the way to Hilbert Dimension? And if I make it, do you wonder how long it might take? Well, stay tuned and find out as I attempt my Permadeath Pacifist Challenge. Okay, let me go over the custom game mode settings I'm using. I'm going to choose the difficulty preset of Permadeath, obviously, which defaults to save deleted. If I die, my save is permanently deleted. In general, Permadeath, as you see here, chooses the hardest settings. It does have standard for the scanner recharge. For some reason, I didn't change that to challenging. It kind of didn't matter. Everything else, if it's not maximum difficulty, I change it. So I believe I go back and make purchases expensive. I make any combat challenging. I make any ease of use things challenging. I turn off the tutorial because I don't want to play around with all that stuff. And then I also lock the settings so that once I start, I can't change anything. So these are the settings I'm using for my Permadeath Pacifist Challenge. Let's get started. Okay, we have spawned on our first planet. The first thing I'm going to do, I try to do on all my games, is I go directly into options. I rename my current save and name it something that I'm going to remember. That way I know it's saved, and when I come back and look through my list of all my game saves, I know which one I'm working on. So I'm going to get this saved, and then we're going to get going. Just like the start of every permadeath max difficulty game, I'm losing hazard protection already. In this case, I gotta find my ship. Okay, here is my first hint, at least what I'm gonna try to do. While I'm headed towards my ship, as I go, I'm gonna collect every buried technology module I can. Now watch here, I almost mess up. I start using my laser by mistake, and I switch over real quick to my terrain manipulator. I almost messed up and I almost mined resources right off the bat using my laser. So I fixed that. But I want to go up there and grab the buried technology. Here's another one, because one of my goals is to collect as many of these as I can, sell them, and make mega units. I want to try to target collecting enough units that when I'm ready to start making the jump to the center, if I get that far, I can buy an exotic ship or an S-class ship that I come across. Those will give me a much better chance of upgrading the hyperdrive distance so that when I'm headed towards the core, I've got as few jumps as possible. There's a little trick you'll see that's going to get us really close to the core, but the final, 10 jumps or so, I want to try to make that the smallest number of jumps that I can. So tip number one, I start collecting buried technology modules ASAP. And we have found our ship. Because I'm in a permadeath and max difficulty, I'm collecting every single resource I come across on the ground, anywhere I can find. my ship because we disabled tutorial mode. Luckily, I don't have to repair anything like you normally do if you're doing the tutorial, so I can lift off right away. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to lift off, and here is my next tip for you. Because I'm trying to get to the core as quickly as I can, because I don't have a laser, and I want to try not to waste a lot of time creating Starship launch fuel, for example, I am going to look for any place I can land that has a landing pad where I can also use the Galactic terminal. I can pick up, material for free. Basically, this is a way to move around all across the planet without having to stop all the time and make or buy Starship launch fuel. So you'll see as I go, I do a lot of this. Fly around, look for the next place I can land, collect all the resources that I can, including nav data, because as you'll see, we need those for planetary charts, and then keep on trucking. I am looking for buried technology modules, any place I can find them. Again, that's how I'm going to collect money. Watch this. Hazardous fauna. I'm going to collect the oxygen. I'm not going to just shoot it since I can't with a laser anyway. You get a lot more oxygen that way. Not real exciting, but this is my process right now. Look for places to land with landing pads, collect resources. I did want to show you this little bug so you don't think you're crazy. On some planets, I have this happen where when I'm digging for a buried technology module, I can't find where I can get the little E on the PC to select it and actually collect it. There, I found it kind of up above it. On certain planet types, certain like ground types, it seems to be a little bit buggy, so it's not you. Keep on trucking, locate the next place I can land. Here is my first trading station. Great place to get a couple things done, as you'll see here in just a minute. Number one, I look for any free resources that sit on the pads, like this stuff right here. Number two, always talk to at least one of the pilots, because you can trade with the pilots and buy material that is otherwise sometimes hard to find. He doesn't have a lot here, but notice oxygen, rusted metal, nav data. This can be a great place to collect resources and not have to kill anything. And then, of course, I check every Galactic terminal I come across to buy and sell. Then it's off to the next opportunity. Again, a little grindy at this point, but I've got to collect my core resources. There's another place I can land, hopefully right there. Hopefully there's a landing pad. I've got to collect resources. I've got to start collecting money as soon as possible through looking for buried technology modules. And I'd much rather land places with landing pads and not waste Starship launch fuel. In this case, I am going to land here, even though there's no pad, because this is going to give me a waypoint for a minor settlement. Minor settlements are a great place to potentially get great material, buy your first blueprints, buy crafting material. You can even find multi-tool upgrades or new multi-tools. In some cases, as you'll see here, if I recall correctly, you can get multi-tools for free. Okay, big tip here. Use melee to collect resources because we can't use our laser. The Q key on your PC keyboard, you can actually melee and hit resources and collect them that way. Hopefully you knew that. You still want to scan everything you can, not just for the units, but because you'll get potentially multiple resource types from the same effort. As you see here, I'm still looking for every buried technology module I can find. And it's permadeath. I got to make sure I don't die. Another great resource you don't want to pass up are these crashed freighters. They have a landing pad. You can pick up multiple types of resources and technical upgrades that come in very handy. Very, very valuable. And you can actually work it without using your laser or your weapon. You can use your melee to break into the places that you need to break into. Just be sure after you collect the resources from each cargo pod, you jump out of there real quick so you can avoid the hazardous radiation damage. Here you can see I'm using the terrain manipulator to get to everything, but since I can't use my laser, I can't laser or bolt cast this damaged panel, so I'm just going to use melee to actually open it up. If you didn't know that, now you know. All right, we've collected all the cargo pods we can here. I'm going to continue my journey towards the minor settlement. I'm using my scanner every step of the way, and in this case, I came across, I think it's called an ancient data center. I forgot what it's called, but again, another place I can land. I can talk to pilots. I can collect any resources that are sitting around for free. I can use the Galactic terminal. You can't pass these options up, especially when you're working on a challenge. Why, oh why do the deadly Viking warriors sometimes wear lipstick? When I say stop and check everything, I mean stop and check everything. Here's a damaged machinery, and for just checking it, I get an S-Class radiation protection upgrade module. So check all of these, pick up the encrypted nav data, use anything on the wall to pick up free nanites, do everything, including sit down once in a while, relax. You got a lot going on. When you come across a building, if it's a transmission tower, use it. You solve a simple puzzle and you will get a distress call for a ship you can upgrade and salvage for free. Well, I say for free, you gotta pay to do the upgrade, but hey, this is the second big way I collect money. Buried technology, modules, and I collect lots and lots of ships that I salvage for money. Oh, here I'm at the minor settlement finally. There's some free things I can pick up. I can grab some units off the wall. I can grab nanites. Always talk to this person at a minor settlement. All I do is have a discussion with him. You kind of treat the discussions a little differently based on which faction you're talking to, but I actually do it right. I decide to hand over my multi-tool. He gives me a free multi-tool upgrade just for having the conversation. You got to take advantage of these kinds of opportunities. Sure enough, I get a B-class upgrade out of the deal. After completing my business at the minor settlement, I head for the distress beacon that I was given. Notice the little trick I just did there. Instead of traveling very slowly across the planet, I aim towards the distress beacon. I go up into orbit, and then I come back down towards it, and you can get there a whole lot faster than just using your pulse engine. I don't really care a lot what the quality of these are. I mean, the better the class, the more I'm going to be able to trade it in for. I do just enough to upgrade it so that it'll show up automatically at the space station, and then I sell them. If I come across an S-Class or an exotic, all the better. This is the first space station stop I'm making. Obviously, you want to hit these in every system that you go to. Use the Galactic terminal, sell ships that you've collected via distress beacons, look for technical upgrades that you want for things like your scanner, start collecting hyperdrive upgrade modules. You've got to hit stations. There's some other things I'll show you that you'll want to do in every station as well. Here I'm just verifying I've got the right ship selected. I'm going to go sell it. I don't get a lot for this one, I don't think. It might be, what was it, $250,000? That's $1 million too. Hey, but these are going to add up for sure. Another little hint, walk around the space stations. You'll find little places like this where you can pick up free resources. You're on a permadeath max difficulty. Take advantage of everything you can. Caves, take advantage of every cave you can, not just for protection, but because they usually have a lot of the very key resources you need. Carbon, oxygen, sodium, marrow bulb, which you can convert to sodium, cobalt, as we see here. I end up spending quite a bit of time in this cave collecting tons of cobalt. Using melee, by the way, and not the laser. Some of the base missions will kick in. You don't care about them really, other than you do want to get to the point where you can get to the space anomaly. The main reason for the anomaly is it's a great way to pull in a teleporter right where you need it. It's also one of the 2 places where you can very inexpensively buy exosuit inventory upgrades. I will show you where to do that. You do that right back here in the corner. Go all the way to the back. See if I can actually get there. And interact with this. The first time you go to a space anomaly in each system, you can get an upgrade right there. That was my main goal here, is get that upgrade. If I didn't do it at the space station already, I may cut it out of the footage. I'm going to definitely go back and do that. Free upgrades, I really need them. One of the fun things you have to watch for, I just got scanned. There's no fighting in the Permadeath Pacifist challenge. There's no running away. I don't have the engine upgrades yet to be able to run from this. All I can do is bargain or comply, and I don't want to risk it, so I just choose comply. It's one of the things you got to do in this challenge. No matter what you're doing, challenge, playing, whatever you're doing, take the time to appreciate the little things. Here's a ship that popped up into low orbit. You see him as you're playing the game. Go take a look at it. Go, fly up close to it, take a look. I'd never tried. I noticed there was landing pads here. I thought I could see if I could land on it. I can't, but the game's just got so many nice little surprises like that. Okay, my next big tip idea for you. You want to really make a lot of money on finding and salvaging ships. So go over to this chart guy and buy a whole bunch of the emergency cartographic data. And I'll show you how you can use these to find as many ships as you want that you are going to salvage and turn into money. In this case, I had enough nav data that I bought 15 or 16 of them. So I will show you the little trick that I do that I learned in terms of how to really take advantage of this. So go to a planet that you don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time on, and on the PC, use the E button to locate all of the different types of distress signals. There's 4 or 5 different types. 2 of them are ship distress calls. There's a freighter. There's a couple others. Keep hitting the E key to find all of them so that they're all identified on this first planet. And then fly to the first ship distress beacon. Now there's 2 types of those beacons. one of them has a pilot at the location and one doesn't. So fly low, but don't land, and see if you see the pilot on the ground. If you do, see him right there? Don't land. We want to leave that ship distress beacon alone. Go ahead and fly to the other one. In this case, it turns out it was really, really close. Doing that will make it easy for you to now collect nothing but valid ship distress beacons every time you use a planetary chart. So you can just go from ship to ship now, like go to another planet that you do want to walk around or fly around a lot on, like I've done here. Every time I use the E, just keep hitting it. Every time I use it, I'm going to get a distress beacon for a valid ship I can go salvage. So you can do this as much as you want. I believe there's some kind of limit, maybe after a dozen ships that I've found distress beacons for on a planet, I end up going to distress beacon locations and like a ship isn't there, it hasn't respawned again or something. So there is some kind of limit to it. But every time you go into a new system, if you follow this technique of basically marking all of the distress beacon types first and keep all of them marked except the one ship distress beacon that you collect, you can just plow through and collect lots and lots of ships. Keep collecting these buried technology modules as well, because this is a great way to earn a whole bunch of money. Every time you land, scan and look around everywhere. I came across these metal fingers, which are a great source of things like uranium, gold, silver. I got to be careful here and let the Sentinel go away, but collect the great resources they give. As you continue to go salvage ships, land at all these landing pads, collect all the resources, make money, and then finally build your first base. Really, I just build my base because I need some storage, and that's really it for this challenge. I don't need to get crazy with a base. Again, I don't want it to look bad. I want to get enough there that I can start to do a couple of the early missions. To be honest, I didn't remember whether I had to do any of those first missions in order to start seeing translucent travelers and collect portal glyphs. It turns out you don't have to do any of these missions to do that, but I built enough of a base that I could build some refiners, build some storage, and just have a place I could call home. Build the basics, get a roof on, build some power, run the power correctly so my storage container is actually powered. Another trick I do here, the reason I built the storage container outside of my base building is because if you build it right up near the edge, then from the inside you can go right up to the wall and you can actually access it from here, so you don't have to clutter up the inside of your base. Wanted to take a little break here and just enjoy the scenery, so I turned off my HUD and I just spent some time at a trade station watching ships come in and land, see if I could come across an S-class or an exotic. I don't think I could really have afforded it at this point, but it's nice to just sit and just enjoy the scenery. And so the process continues. I find and process distress beacons. I'm collecting resources I need eventually to build warp cells. I'm finding ships. I'm going to space stations. I'm doing the grind of basically collecting as much money as I can. I start collecting some of the material I need in order to get the more advanced engine modules so I can get to the other system types. And I still stop once in a while, turn off the HUD, and just enjoy some of the cool scenery, like this very purple space station. I do hit outlaw stations, So they have a good chance of finding solar ships here, which I really like. What I really came here to do, I'd saved up enough money, a few million units, that there's a little trick you can do. You can go to this guy and you can buy up suspicious packets. And yeah, there's 3 different types. You can buy those up. You can open up all of them and then come to this guy. Any of the modules you don't want, you can sell to him for nanites. So this is a great way, if you have a little starter money, to get nanites when you really need them. Okay, it seems like I've been doing a lot of grinding, but in this point in the game, if you look there, I've got over 22 million units, and I've got enough material that I'm going to start building a lot of warp cells. I've got enough money that when I come across a nice ship, I can buy it. I need to make the warp cells I need. I believe I've got all the engine upgrades I need now to get to every system except purple. So I just need warp cells, find a ship, and most importantly, I need to find a portoglyph. Still got to be careful. Here I'm close to a building or a station, and I become part of the attack. I'm just going to get out of here. I'm going to try to fly away. Go to another system, go to another station, and watch this. I got lucky again. I seem to get lucky when I do some of these recordings. So first time at this station, new system, I get out. I'm really here because I'm going to look for ships. I'm going to see if there's a translucent traveler where I can eventually get my first glyph. And there's one right there. There's a translucent traveler. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to talk to him. You talk to him once, have the conversation. And then you have the second conversation with him. And this is where if you offer him, I think it's 100 nanites. Yeah. Ask where they came from. He will give you the location of his grave where you can get a portoglyph. And look, an exotic ship just landed at the same station that I found my first translucent traveler. So I'm running over here right now. I've got, 22 million credits. I was so excited I started trying to click on the ship instead of click on the pilot. So talk to the pilot. I'm buying this thing. Luckily, it's inexpensive enough that I can buy it with my 22 million units. Negotiate price. I believe it, if I remember right, it was 20. I think I'm looking at the slots to see which ones are upgrade slots there. So 20,900,000 units. I'm buying it. I now have the location of a portoglyph. I now have an exotic ship. I can upgrade the hyperdrive a lot better, a lot farther than other ships. I am finally ready to make the final trek. It looks like I could actually make it to the center. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to check out the unknown grave that the translucent traveler told me about. We made it here. We land. We have our conversation with the fallen traveler. We extract the glyph. We go into our inventory, consume it. We are now ready for the final part of this trek. I'm going to go back to my base, I believe, and just make sure I top off on any resources, warp cells, etc. My harbor drive range on my ship is now 1705. I've got all the drives that I need. I've got a stack of 20 warp cells. Let's start this journey. Now what we're going to do next is I need to find a portal I can use my one portal glyph on. I just went to the planetary chart guy and I bought some of the appropriate planetary charts, and he pointed me to this monolith. So I'm going to go to the monolith. I'm going to have the conversation with the monolith. The conversations differ based on what kind of system you're in. You've got to answer the questions right, and if you do, they will give you the location of a portal. I got it right. I went to the portal. First thing I do when I get to a portal, it's just habit, I guess, is I actually put a base down so that I know I can get back to this particular place. I start up the portal. In this case, I ran out of material to actually get everything done. So I had to make a little bit more dihydrogen. That allowed me to finish up some of these final glyphs. Now you have to unlock all of them, but in my case, I'm only going to use the one glyph that I have. If you enter the one glyph, as you'll see here, for all 12 of the glyphs that you can actually enter when you activate it. See, I'm just going to pick the same one I have. It'll give you an error about an approximate location, but that's okay. What this is going to do, little hint if you haven't done this before, is this is going to get you to within approximately 5,000 light years from the core, when right now I'm like 700,000 away. So let's go. We're jumping. We are going. We made it to a new system. I'm not going to waste any time. I don't know what the planet details are here. I'm going to get right in my ship. I'm going to get right up into space. And now it's time for the final X number of jumps to the actual core. I'm double checking. I've got what I think is enough hyperdrive warp cells. I don't know if you noticed there, but I had managed to increase my hyperdrive jump range to 1900, I think. So I'm going to start using the galaxy map. I'm going to choose Galactic Center, Galactic Core, and I'm going to start heading that direction. I'm in the home stretch, man. It doesn't look like there's anything that's going to be stopping me. Looks like I should be able to do it. So I start making the jumps. I'm 4,800 light years away. I'm 4,000 away. I'm 3,400 away. I'm 3,100 away. And I make another jump or two to kind of rearrange the specific system I'm in. And there it is. I've got the final jump to the galactic core. I am ready to finish this challenge. Oh, yeah. Now, on the PC anyway, the process of choosing the final jump and making it happen is kind of a little janky sometimes. You got to have 100% hyperfuel. You got to select it just right. I have to try a couple times here to correctly select the final jump line to the center. It's just weird sometimes on the PC. So again, I did have to choose it a couple of times. I was starting to get nervous. It had bugged out or something, and I thought I might have to save and kind of reload. So I kind of reset. I moved my ship a little bit just in case it made a difference. I went in one more time. I made sure I was on Destination Galactic Core. I reselected. I held down on the mouse button and boom. I am making the final jump to what'll be the Hilbert dimension. I didn't use my laser the entire time. I didn't use any weapon, any ship weapons. I didn't kill anything. but I was able to find a way to collect the resources I needed to build up enough money that I could get a decent ship and actually get to the end of the Permadeath Pacifist challenge. I gotta admit, when I first started, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it or not, but I did. Is it difficult? No, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I was a little concerned about how hard it was going to be to collect money and get a decent ship. You don't have to have an S-class ship to get to the center. It's just really helpful to have a ship where you can upgrade the hyperdrive range to be a whole lot bigger than just doing it with your radiant pillar. I've done it before and it's definitely doable, but I was also trying to see how quickly I could get this to happen. There it is, new galaxy discovered, Hilbert Dimension. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you picked up a few tips along the way. Maybe you'll want to try to do it yourself. Let me pull up here. It took me around 9 hours to do it. Technically, it took less time than that. During the recording of this, I did a little bit of recording for some other No Man's Sky stuff I do. Probably another hour's worth of just flat 4K, 50 frame per second, ASMR, no commentary kind of coverage. So I'd say it took me around 8 hours. Give it a try. Hope you enjoyed it. Love to see your comments, how you would have done it differently. Ideas for new challenges. I'd love to hear it. If you enjoy the stuff, I'd love a subscribe. I'd love for you to like it, help other people with similar interest find content like this. Appreciate you. And hey, have fun out there.